Have you ever opened your phone, scrolled through your contacts, and realized the people who once knew everything about you are now strangers? The same friends you sat next to in class. The same people who shared lunch, secrets, inside jokes, and dreams about the future. And now, no calls, no texts, no birthday wishes, just silence. Why do some people completely cut off their school friends? Is it ego? Is it growth? Is it betrayal? Or is it something deeper? Something psychological? Let's slow down and think about it. In school, friendships are often built on proximity, not compatibility. You didn't choose them because your values aligned or because your visions matched. You chose them because they sat beside you in math class, because you shared the same bus, because you both hated the same teacher. Closeness created connection, but proximity is not destiny. Psychologically, school friendships are formed during what developmental psychologists call the identity formation phase. During adolescence, we are still figuring out who we are. Our brains are still developing, especially the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making, long-term planning, and identity clarity. So the friendships we build at 14 or 17 are often reflections of who we were, not who we are becoming. And that's where the fracture begins. Imagine this. Two friends promise each other they'll always stay close. One dreams of building a business, moving cities, changing environments. The other feels comfortable staying where things are familiar. Neither is wrong, but their trajectories slowly diverge. At first, the distance is small, fewer calls, delayed replies, different interests. Then comes the quiet comparison. She's changed. He thinks he's better now. They forgot where they came from. But sometimes, growth looks like betrayal to people who stay the same. Here's the paradox. Cutting people off is not always about dislike. Sometimes it's about self-preservation. When someone evolves, their nervous system begins to reject environments that remind them of an outdated version of themselves. Old friends can unintentionally trigger old identities. The funny one, the shy one, the lazy one, the class clown, the idiom average student. But what if that person no longer identifies with that version? What if staying connected feels like staying small? There's a psychological concept called self-concept. Consistency. We feel internally safe when our external environment matches who we believe we are. If your friends constantly remind you of who you were, and not who you are trying to become, your subconscious feels friction. Not hatred, not anger, just friction. And over time, friction becomes distance. Another layer is emotional maturity. In school, bonding often happens through shared experiences, gossip, humor, rebellion, common struggles. But adulthood demands emotional depth. Conversations shift from, "Did you see what happened?" to "What do you want from life?" And not everyone transitions at the same pace. Some friendships survive growth. Others were only meant for a season. It hurts to admit that, because we romanticize loyalty. We believe that if someone leaves, they must be cold, selfish, ungrateful. But sometimes leaving is the most honest thing a person can do. Ask yourself this. Have you ever felt drained after talking to someone you once loved being around? Have you ever felt like you were performing a version of yourself just to fit into an old dynamic? That exhaustion is psychological dissonance. You are acting from memory, not from authenticity. And authenticity, over time, demands alignment. But here's the deeper truth. Cutting off school friends is rarely easy. People who do it often wrestle with guilt. They replay memories in their heads. They wonder if they are being arrogant. They question if success changed them. They miss the simplicity of the past. Because nostalgia is powerful. Nostalgia edits reality. It removes the tension, magnifies the laughter, softens the misunderstandings. It convinces you that the past was purer than it actually was. But the mind does that to protect you. The real question isn't, why did they leave? The real question is, who are they becoming? Growth is uncomfortable. Not just for the person changing, but for the people watching them change. And sometimes, the bravest thing someone can do is walk away quietly. Not with drama, not with hatred, just with distance. Because they understand something subtle. Not every connection is meant to survive transformation. And that realization can feel both liberating and lonely. Let's go deeper. There's another psychological force at play here: environmental association. Your brain links places and people with emotions. When you think of school friends, your mind automatically recalls who you were during that time. Your insecurities, your immaturity, your limitations. Now imagine you've worked hard to overcome those limitations. You build confidence. You changed your habits. You healed from past wounds. But when you reconnect with certain old friends, something strange happens. You shrink. Not physically, psychologically. You laugh at jokes you've outgrown. You tolerate conversations that no longer interest you. You downplay your ambitions to avoid sounding too serious. Why? Because the subconscious wants social harmony. But harmony at the cost of authenticity feels heavy. And slowly, you begin avoiding the interaction altogether. It's not that you hate them. It's that you no longer recognize yourself in that dynamic. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Familiarity does not equal compatibility. Just because someone witnessed your childhood does not mean they are meant to witness your future. This is where many people feel guilt. We are taught that loyalty means permanence, that real friends never drift apart, that cutting someone off is cruel. But psychology teaches something different. Healthy development requires differentiation. Differentiation means you can honor your past without being trapped by it. You can appreciate shared memories without forcing shared futures. Think about this. Trees shed leaves not because they hate them, but because new growth requires space. And yet, shedding still feels like loss. People who cut off school friends often go through quiet grief. They scroll through old photos. They remember late-night conversations. They question if they are becoming too independent. Independence can feel like isolation at first. But independence is not rejection. It's recalibration. Sometimes distance isn't about pushing others away. It's about pulling yourself closer to who you're meant to be. Still, there is another side to this story. Not all cutoffs are healthy. Sometimes people cut off school friends because they cannot tolerate being reminded of their past mistakes. Sometimes success creates ego. Sometimes insecurity disguises itself as growth. So how do you know the difference? Ask this. Does this distance bring peace or superiority? Does it feel grounded or defensive? True growth feels calm. Ego feels loud. If cutting someone off makes you feel expansive, aligned, and emotionally steady, it may be evolution. If it makes you feel inflated and reactive, it may be avoidance. The mind is complex. Our motivations are rarely pure. But here's something profound to reflect on. Not everyone you start with is meant to finish with you. And that doesn't invalidate the beginning. School friendships often teach us belonging. They teach us loyalty, humor, heartbreak, conflict resolution. They were necessary chapters. But chapters are not the whole book. You can cherish a chapter and still turn the page. In fact, refusing to turn the page is how stories stagnate. So if you've drifted from school friends, maybe it's not a sign that something broke. Maybe it's a sign that something evolved. And if someone drifted from you, maybe it's not personal rejection. Maybe it's personal transformation. The real lesson here is not about cutting people off. It's about understanding that identity is fluid. We are not the same person we were at 16. We are not meant to be. Growth rearranges priorities. It reshapes conversations. It changes environments. And sometimes it changes circles. That doesn't make you disloyal. It makes you dynamic. So, here's the final question I want you to sit with. Are you holding on to people out of love or out of fear of change? Because love allows space. Fear clings. And sometimes the most mature form of love is letting relationships transform, even if that transformation looks like distance. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to choose environments that reflect who you are becoming. And you are allowed to honor the past without living in it. Some friendships are for a lifetime. Some are for a lesson. And some are simply proof of who you once were. The courage is not in cutting people off. The courage is in becoming who you truly are, even if it means walking forward without the crowd that once walked beside you.